Well, the man waiting in the wings for his shot at power in New Brunswick is Progressive Conservative leader Blaine Higgs. He joins us now. Mr. Higgs, good to see you again. Thanks for taking time to speak with me.
You're very welcome. Good afternoon, Peter.
What did you think of the speech from the throne today? Was there enough there to make you want to let Brian Gallant and the Liberals see if they can govern?
Well, the short answer would be no. But I guess that wouldn't have been a surprise. I wasn't expecting anything in the throne speech that would change my mind from where it was a day ago. It was as expected, really, and except for, I would say, a glaring omission. There were lots of items there, that one would anticipate what's going to be done. Committees are going to look at this, and we're going to work with this and study that. And so there was lots of that about items that were from kind of other party suggestions. But I think the glaring omission was that there really wasn't anything in it related to what has been accomplished in the last 4 years. And that's been my concern from the very start, is that it's about what's been done and how do we build on our successes. And when Brian Gallant couldn't put forward any successes to build on, that's a pretty sad state. So there's nothing in the throne speech that's going to change my mind in when I evaluate the lack of success in the last 4 years.
So what happens next?
Well, we go through the process. I mean, we're expecting that they're bringing forward a lot of motions and bills and to keep it busy over the next week and a half, and even to the point that it may affect the debate on the throne speech. We will be having regular QP in which we will question, items that, even the carbon tax, of which we learned most recently, the federal government did not accept the province's proposal. So we'll be running routine business for the next few days. I'll respond to the throne speech on Thursday. And then we'll be dealing with issues in question period of what has not been happening in our province and trying to get the reasons behind that.
All right, so let me pick up a couple of things there. Let me pick up on the carbon tax. So as you mentioned, the federal government is going to impose its plan on New Brunswick. It says the province is not doing enough. If you end up in the Premier's chair, what are you going to do?
Well, I have said very clearly that I'm joining the other provinces that are opposing the carbon tax. We cannot afford any more taxation on the people of New Brunswick. And so I will work with Ontario and Saskatchewan and Manitoba. And I know Alberta has a different position now as well. So we have a pretty solid force here to argue against the federal government. And at the end of the day, I've said if that isn't successful, I want to make sure that New Brunswickers are not paying a single dime more in taxation because our province is taxed enough. So
to be clear, you're prepared to join the constitutional court fight that so far is being led by Saskatchewan and Ontario?
That is correct, I am. Okay.
So in the plan, so when you say that they're not paying a penny more, that seems to be what the federal government is suggesting, that in fact not only would homeowners and ratepayers not pay more, they would actually end up with more money in their pocket after they get rebated from the taxes being collected in the province they live in. So what do you think of that?
Well, it sounds like liberal math, but I'm open to look at that in a serious way, because if indeed it's forced upon us, that will be what I will be looking for, is to see that people aren't paying more. So I'm interested to see how that calculation works. And I've heard that story too, so I'll evaluate that. But we will first and foremost suggest we don't need more taxes in order to have a clean environment. We need regulations to be sure to be followed. We need to be true to our plans for the 2030 emission standards and beyond, and focus on more renewable energy sources. But we don't need more taxation to make that happen.
Okay, let's go back to your situation there in New Brunswick. So as I understand it, the Liberals are in government for now. We've had a speech from the throne. There'll be a vote on the speech from the throne in the normal course of business, I think, a week from Friday, at which point that would be the opportunity to defeat the government, and then the Governor General will then, one thinks in the normal course of business again, go to you and ask you to form a government. So what are the chances you would try to topple the Liberals before the vote on the speech from the throne late next week?
Well, we've been looking at, some of the procedures and what opportunities, to your point, that are there. And we might bring forward a nonconfidence motion and kind of test the waters there. But we are happy the process has finally started. We're a month late, and that's unfortunate because New Brunswick's been in limbo. But I don't want to deflect from let's get on with it. Let's get it resolved. You know, our primary focus will be on November 2nd. And unless, you know, we get kind of played around in the legislature with a lot of motions and bills that are just taking up time and trying to extend it beyond the 2nd, I don't anticipate we'll be, you know, overly aggressive in just trying to change that date forward. But we will be very focused on that date being a reality.
All right.
So,
and if that happens, then it flips to how's Blaine Higgs going to form government and stay in power? So how do you see your path to governing? Who is it there in New Brunswick that will agree to support your party and your agenda? Which of those two smaller parties, the Greens or the People's Alliance, I think, their 3 MPs, who are you going to win over?
well, we think, you know, we already know, and that's because the People's Alliance and Chris Dawson stated, you know, a week or so ago or longer that they would support the party that had the most seats. And, you know, we are relying on that being a, you know, a statement that we believe is real. And
have you had discussions with him?
Oh yes, I have had discussions with Mr. Austin, as I have with Mr. Kuhn. I think in both cases, you know, they're not satisfied with the success of the Gallant government over the last 4 years, and I think the popular vote would suggest, you know, that because there's been discussion about that, although we know first past the post is our system. 62% or so of New Brunswickers said they wanted a different government than the current Liberal government. So I think the obligation is very much on me to find a path with both the Greens and the Alliance. And I feel that we have that path, and I believe and we've proposed a different legislative process, which they're reviewing now, a document that we put together, because we will, in fact, have a very open process. It has to change the system. I've said it for 8 years that I've been involved in government. Now's the opportunity to do it, and it's real, and I have a deep conviction to make that happen.
Well, what do the Greens say about, where are the Greens on a carbon tax in New Brunswick?
Well, interestingly enough, you know, the focus is on the emissions and seeing that our emission standards improve, and so we have a reduction in that area, and we meet our targets. Also, they are for a rebate, like no more taxes. So I was interested in our discussion to learn that was an objective of theirs as well. You know, we would have differences in some of our natural resource development, and we will work through that with both parties. But I feel comfortable there's more that binds us than separates us.
Okay, lots to watch as things continue to change in the province of New Brunswick, and a lot of Canadians watching to see those developments and how they'll all play out. Blaine Higgs, good to talk to you again.
Nice talking to you as well, Peter. Thank you.
Take care.